We are live. There you go. Okay, so today's date, what we're going to do again is we're going to be solving quadratic equations. So we got to be a little careful because the word quadratic really means any x squared, okay? So this word quadratic, and of course we've got the quadratic formula, right? But it really means we're going to solve any x squared equation, okay? And that's what we've been doing. So here's hopefully what we do know. Anytime we do any x squared, there's always two answers. Okay? So visually, and I just want to show you this, okay? Visually, if we're looking at it as far as a parabola, you can see, when I say always two answers, you can see, no, it's danger line because 1, 2, right? We got two answers here. This one, there's no answers, but because we have an I, with me, I, these kind of graphs will give me an imaginary answer, okay? But always plus or minus, okay? And that's stupid too. This one here is weird. Well, we've seen this before in algebra 2. You get the same answer twice. Do you remember that? When you practice, sometimes you get the same answer twice. But you still, in theory, get two answers. Graphically, it's like saying it goes through the graph here and then comes back through it up at the same spot. Okay, so it's in theory always two answers. Okay, so let's take a look at what we have to do. So question number 1. If I were to graph this, I'd get some answers, but let's just solve it. So to solve it, I know two answers. There's a variety of ways, but I'm going to take and do this the easiest way of all. So I'm just going to square root both sides, because that'll cancel the x squared, right? And then I'll be left with an x plus 4 equals. Now we got to be careful, okay? And I'm going to highlight it. Two answers. So it's going to equal plus or minus 5. Both. Because 5 times 5, 5 times 5 is 25, and negative 5 times negative 5 is also 5, right? Two answers. You guys okay with that? So then I'm just going to go ahead and make too many equations. I'm going to go x plus 4 equals 5, and x plus 4 equals negative 5, right? And then just solve. Minus 4, x equals 1. Minus 4, x equals negative 9. Okay? How's that? Wasn't too bad, was it? Okay. All right. Slide it up. Example 2. Well, we're going to do the same thing. I see two things, though, that are different. One is the 3, so I've got to get rid of the 3. And 2, the second I see is a negative. So I'm thinking I might have some kind of an I answer. You guys see that? So let's solve it. Let's see what happens. So I'm going to go divide by 3 first, because that gets rid of the 3 on the outside. I'll have an x minus 5 quantity squared equals a negative 10. I'm going to do what I did up here to get rid of the square. I'll square root both sides. Yeah, we're just going to have to leave it as a square root of 10i, right? So I'm going to get an x minus 5 equals. Now, the square root of 10, there's nothing you can do with it. Right? You can't break it down. 2 and 5 doesn't help. 1 and 10 doesn't help. So we're going to leave it as a square root of 10. But because of the negative, we're going to put the I out there, okay? Square root of 10, can't really break it down. And then we get the I from the square root of negative 1, okay? Now, two answers, right? Always two answers. So plus or minus.
Lastly, I'll go plus 5 when x equals 5 plus or minus the square root of 10I. How's that? Make sense? All right, example 3. So what I like, these are easy to solve for, right? You guys agree? These are in this form. I like this vertex form. It makes it easy to solve for. So my goal is to make this problem look like one of these. So I think I'll completing the square, okay? Now this is going to be on your next test. So let's write down the steps, okay? So I'm going to write down the steps. I'll put them up here, okay? Okay, step 1's already been done. It's already been done in this problem. Move C to the other side. So I've already done that. It's already been done. The 5 has already been moved over, right? So step 1's been done for me in this one, okay? Step 2 is to divide out the a value. Now there is no a value, so we don't have to do that one either, okay? But I'm going to give you every step so that there are times you have to do this, okay? So there's no value a, so I don't need to do that one together. But now step 3, here's how we do it. Step 3, we're going to take 1/2 of b squared. Okay, so let's see, what do I got? B is -8. We're going to take half of that, -4. And we're going to square that. Positive 16. Yes?
The steps you have to write down -1/2.
Yes.
So, you want to do 1/2 and then 12.
Oh, you don't need the 1/2. I'm sorry. It's my first big mistake of the day. Thank you. It's just 1/2 b squared. Thanks, Jack. Well, good job. Okay. So then, what I'm going to do with this is we're going to add that to both sides. Okay. Step 4. Add this to both sides. So for us, it's 16, right? And the way this is going to work, I think you're going to see it when I get done. If I add 16 to both sides, I'll have an x squared minus an 8x.
A little to the left, please.
Oh, sure. 8x, x squared minus 8x plus 16 equals 5 plus 16. And I'm going to stop and let you get caught up so you know what I've done, okay? See if I can make it easy for you, okay? It's really actually not that difficult. Oh, ignore that. So all I'm doing is taking half this number, what's half this number? 4, and squaring it. So I'm doing half this number is -4. -4 squared is 16. And now I have to add that to both sides because it's got an equal sign, right? To keep it balanced. Now the reason I did this is this will factor, okay? So step 5, factor and solve. Factor and solve. Just ignore it. So, unless it's landed, who knows, right? I don't know where my phone is. That's my coat pocket. Hold on, let me check. Could be Landon. Poor kid. No robocall. That's why I ignore him. So then, the reason we do this is this will factor. This will factor into x minus 4, x minus 4 equals 21. This will always happen. You'll always get the same thing twice. That's why we do this little trick. If we want to get this, we get the same thing twice, always, okay? And then you can rewrite it as a x minus 4 squared equals 21. And now solving it gets pretty easy. Okay, so the reason we complete the square is to get this form. So you take half of this number, you square it. And then that'll factor. minus 4, right? And then you can rewrite that as x minus 4 quantity squared equals 21. And then solving is easy. Right now, we're going to go back and solve it like we did up here, right? The same thing. Square root, right? And then we're going to get an x minus 4 equals, well, the square root of 21, you can't really do anything with it. There is no square root of 21, so I'm going to leave the square root of 21. But 2 answers, right? 2 answers. So I'm going to put plus minus because I need 2 answers. And then I'm going to go plus 4, x equals 4 plus or minus the square root of 21, okay? How's that? Okay? So the reason we complete the square, the reason we do this whole process is so that we can get to here and then to there, okay? That's the purpose of doing it. Half of this number, negative 4, squared, positive 16. Positive 16, positive 16. Okay, thumbs up on that? Okay, it's really not that hard, is it? Okay, all right, turn the page. Now this one's a little bit more difficult, but we can do it. We got the idea, okay? Okay, my notes say, step 1, bring C to the other side. So that's already been done for me, okay? It's already been brought over, okay? Step 2 says, divide out A. So this time I'm going to divide out the 2, divide the 2, and divide the 2, okay? I got to do step 2 on this one, okay? So I'm going to have then an x squared plus 6x equals 7/2, or I'll make it 3.5. How's that? Okay? Okay, so what's half of that number? 3 squared is? It's that easy. One more time. Half of that number? 3 squared is? So we're just going to add 9 to both sides. So I'm going to get a x squared plus a 6x plus 9 equals, oh, it's a 12.5. Okay? This will factor. This will factor. What times what makes 9? That adds up to 6? 3 and 3, right? Cameron, I know you know how to factor. So x plus 3, right? And the whole reason we complete the squares is so we get to this spot where they're the same. They will always be the same if you do it right. And then you'll have an x plus 3 squared equals a 12.5. Square root, right? I'll have I'm running out of room, so I'll scoot it up here, okay? So I'll have an x plus 3 equals 2 answers, plus or minus the square root of 12.5. And I'm just going to leave it like that, okay? 2 answers, plus or minus, right? Minus 3, x equals negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 12.5. And we really want to leave it as 12.5. It's not perfect to have a decimal, but it's better than this number. Here, let me show you. I like this better than that. That's an ugly number. You guys agree? See that number? So I really prefer this number for 2 reasons. 1, it looks nicer than this. And 2, this is not exactly the answer. How am I saying that? This is not exactly the answer. Why am I saying that? It's going to round it. And in fact, this number goes forever. This is an irrational number. It never ends, okay? Good answer. Okay, now, last one. Example 5. Oh, fractions. Oh my gosh, we hate fractions, okay? So, let's see if we can get a common denominator, okay? Common denominator. Because somehow we've got to be able to add these two, okay? So my common denominator between the two is this. It's going to be x minus 2 and x plus 2. So my common denominator is going to be both. So I'm going to multiply this fraction by x plus 2 over x plus 2. Okay, here's a hard one. We did this last year, or last semester. This one needs an x minus 2. So when you do a common denominator, you say, okay, well, to make them the same, we can multiply one by the other and the other by the other. So our common denominator is this. X plus 2, x minus 2, right? That's my common denominator. And then the numerator is going to be my x plus 2 times my x plus 2, because I'm just multiplying these two together, plus x minus 2 times x minus 2, okay? Over my denominator, okay, so I just went those two together, okay? Equals, well, man, this problem's big and ugly, but it's going to get small pretty soon, trust me. Okay? Equals 8 minus 4x over, oh, this looks familiar. This looks familiar. In fact, I think this is going to be, anybody know what this should be? What should I rewrite this as? Anybody remember how to factor that?
Oh,
No, okay, remember how to factor that?
x minus 2 times x plus 2.
Yes! Now, it seems as if the entire problem has the same common denominator, right? And if that happens, we can multiply both sides by the common denominator, and in a sense, the common denominator just disappears. Well, okay, so now my fraction's gone, right? And the reason that works, and I'll show you on the board, because I just want to show on the board, hold on. So the reason this works, I'll show you real quickly. Okay. If you were to multiply both sides by the same, it went like this. Multiply by x plus 2, x minus 2 over 1 is this side. And multiply this side by x plus 2, x minus 2 over 1, both sides, right? You can see cancels, right? You see how cancels? But the cool part is this. You know you got a common denominator all the way through, with an equal sign, just give it, okay? Now, what do we have? The problem's going to get better, okay? Here it is. This big, ugly problem is going to get better. All right, so now what do I have? Well, let's see. I'm going to FOIL. Remember, I'm going to FOIL. I'm going to have an x squared plus a 2x plus another 2x plus 4 plus,
I'll move to the left, please.
yes, yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Malachi. Plus x squared minus 2x minus another 2x plus 4. And of course, that's going to equal my 8 minus 4x, okay? I don't know if you guys see it, but I certainly do. Positive 2, negative 2. You guys see that? Boom, boom. And there's another positive 2, negative 2, isn't there, right? Let's see what I have left. So now I have x squared and x squared, x squared and x squared. I got 2x squared plus 8 equals 8 minus 4x. All right, the problem's getting easier. All right, so I think I'm going to have to factor. I'm thinking I'm probably going to have to factor. So I'm going to bring the 8 over and bring the 4x over, right? Does that equal 0? So I'm going to go, okay, minus 8 plus 4x plus 4x, so that I can set it equal to 0. Now, if this seems like a really hard problem, it's okay. This is like an extra credit type problem. But we can do it with my help, right? 2x squared plus 4x, oh, 8's cancel, equals 0. I am almost there. So now I'm going to factor again. Well, I'm going to common factor. Everybody forgets about common factor Everybody always forgets about it. What do they have in common? A 2x, right? Agreed? They've got a common multiple of 2x. They have an x plus 2. And then many equations. Divide by 2, x equals 0. That is an answer. That's a number. 0 is a number. Minus 2, x equals negative 2. Okay? Okay. Boy, I haven't given out candy for a long time. So, real quickly, for a piece of candy, somebody tell me something about that answer. Anybody know it? What's that?
Is that an I answer? Or it's impossible?
It is impossible. Good camera people, why? Well, what if you put it right there into the original equation?
Oh, it would cancel out.
And what would you have?
Dividing by 0.
Dividing by 0, and you can't divide by 0, right? Nice job. All right. I think Jack deserves candy, right? Okay, so I'm going to stop that.
I have math.